the 5 daily habits to help boost your self-confidence. This is going to take practice, of course. This is not something that you magically can adopt and instantly feel confident. So that's the disclaimer there. Whatever that I'm going to share is something that requires repeated actions, that when it's done over and over again, this is how you become good at something. One thing to mention about self-confidence is that I think it's truly magical. Essentially, feel assured about yourself. At the end of the day, self-confidence is just having this unwavering belief that you can do something, that you are who you say you are. Self-confidence is not something that we learn in school. I don't think it's built into the system where people give you hacks. People tell you exactly how self-confidence is going to help you in so many aspects of your life, whether it's relationship, whether it's for your personal growth, for your professional lives. So I just want to share on a personal level some of the practices that I have incorporated into my routine, and it's something that I recommend to people that I coach that has worked well for them. Probably some of it are things that you've heard before, but I'm going to share with you exactly like the kind of apps that I'm using or exactly how I do it. Hopefully some of this is going to help you to fine-tune yours and maybe adopt something that you think, hey, what I've just shared is actually very achievable. I'm going to start incorporating it, and hopefully that with repeated actions, with a lot of practice, is going to help you to boost your self-confidence. Okay, so before I share what are the 5, I think as a overarching theme, what I focus on a lot is the mind and body. You need both, and you need to tackle both areas. Some people, they are very good with their mind work, but then it's like the chicken and egg thing. They're going to say that if you focus a lot on your physical health, it's going to reflect in your mental health, and if you focus a lot on your mental health, it's going to reflect on your physical health, which I totally agree. It's just that sometimes we don't find that balance. So I think my approach has always been trying to have a bit of both, trying to balance it as much as possible so that you are not entirely just over focusing on certain dimension and you are just neglecting other things, which is going to create some kind of imbalance, which is not what you want. So for me, it's all about the mind. It is what's going on in your head. Mentally, what is your energy? How are you functioning at the brain level? And so these are things like, are you setting intentions for the day? What do you actually do when you wake up first thing in the morning? Are you the kind of person that maybe you're spontaneous, you don't really like anything to be too scheduled and routine? Most of us, I think, would have an alarm clock, or maybe we just wake up the same time as it is. Whatever that is, I think what you need to pay attention is, what's the first thing that you do when you wake up? I've seen drastic change in myself and also some people that I've worked with. The first thing that they do in the day would actually influence the rest of the day without them really knowing it. A lot of self-reflection journaling, they start to realize that I shouldn't be scrolling on my phone early in the morning. Why is that the first thing that you see? So one of the greatest mistakes that I've made in the past is I used to be, I still am, quite a workaholic. Okay, this workaholic term, it depends on how you view it, but for me is when I'm extremely passionate about something, even if it's work, it doesn't feel like work to me. It's just obsession, right? So it will come a point in time where this kind of energy becomes a little bit toxic, not healthy. I used to be that person that's always wanting to be like, everything needs to be in control, that to the point that when I wake up in the morning, the first thing that I check is like literally the kind of messages that I sent the night before, or I would not have any boundaries in terms of work. Like after you finish work at a certain time, you shouldn't ideally be channeling your energy to that again, because this is how you deplete yourself. This is how people say things like, oh, I'm burnt out, I cannot do it anymore. And it's because they don't know how to set boundaries. So for me, going back to it is, I didn't set intentions for the day. I wake up in the morning, the first thing that I reach out to is my phone,
and the blue light on my eyes, maybe at 6, 7 a.m., honestly speaking, it is not the best thing, because what you are seeing on your phone, sometimes you cannot control what you're going to see. Like some messages that maybe you don't want to read, that is going to send off certain triggers or like unconsciously affect you. So that first thing that you see, it's so key because it can interrupt your entire mood and the way you function the rest of the day. So for me, when I reach to my phone to hit the snooze, the alarm, I will immediately put it down, and it's actually airplane mode. So technically speaking, that's something that helps me to not see messages that I don't want to see, or some work messages that maybe requires me to start thinking about, oh, you know what, this is what we're going to do, because I know how my brain works, and I know that it can ignite this kind of, oh, I know this is today. It's just that's not something that you want first thing in the morning. You're supposed to be waking up in a very good momentum where things are a little bit more calm, you're very clear, you have this mental clarity to set your intentions of the day. So today, what is my goal, what I'm going to focus on? If you have values as a person, maybe you want to do self-affirmations. I used to be that person that don't really believe in positive self-talk. Why do you have to say it out? Until I learned the power of words. What you say, sometimes even what you joke about, how it can unconsciously, subconsciously go into your head. And sometimes you actualize certain reality that you don't really want. The power of words is really something. And so when I started taking affirmations seriously, I started noticing that the energy that I have, the thoughts that I have the rest of the day is slightly different. It's just, you feel like there is a filter inside of you. When you have positive self-talk, when you set your intention, you repeat your values to yourself, reassuring the kind of person that you want to be on a daily basis, you have this unshaken identity or like purpose for yourself that even though certain negative things happen, it doesn't shake you as much as if you don't have your purpose. So some of the things that I use during this first part of the day, where it's all about the mind, pampering and setting the mind, I also have the meditation app, which is Insight Timer. Is just something that I've used for a few years now. I've clocked in many hours of meditation. So when I say meditation, it doesn't mean like you're sitting there listening to that like crystal music and then like just being calm and have nothing in your head. That's not how it works, right? There are many different styles of meditation. Some people, they do it in forms of prayers if you are religious. Some people, it's just more of listening to a certain chant, like it helps them to recenter themselves, make them feel grounded. Everything is created twice, first in the mind and then in reality. So that's a quote by Insight Timer. I like the fact that every time you log in, I'm not paying for this app, by the way. You can pay for it and then you'll be unlocking some of the paid music or meditation practices. But for me, I think even doing the one without the paid version is really sufficient. Okay, so chimes and crystal bowls, like this kind usually is what I'm quite into, and especially the sound of raindrops and water sound, and it sets me in the right energy for the rest of the day. So to give you an example of how it sounds like, let's say I have the ocean. Sometimes ocean can be a little bit like noisy, but depends, right? I don't know if you can hear this. It's a fun exercise where you see how focused you are to the sound that is playing and whether or not you can follow the rhythm. I think that kind of sends you into this very calm vibration. I have another version that, I don't know if I'm saying this correctly or pronouncing this correctly, binaural, beats to relax and focus. So the sound of chimes, birds chirping is great for early in the day. Because I don't know about you, but if you're somebody that has a lot of ambitious goals, you have a city lifestyle, you are always surrounded by computers, tech, very industrious things, you tend to detach yourself from nature. And so I think that's where people really get burnout. So this is the part where I think is quite important in order for you to achieve that balance. And during those times is also when I visualize. So if you notice, I don't really make myself so rigid in the sense where if I wake up, this is exactly what I'm going to say, and then this is exactly what I'm going to listen. Sometimes I do go with the flow, although it's still structured in the sense that I will wake up at a certain timing and I make sure that you really don't need to do it that long. I salute some people who take hours. They can meditate to the extent. That's my goal one day. Even 5 minutes is going to make a difference if you repeat it on a daily basis. So the audio is one thing, and then you can also start visualizing. I think these are the things that we used to do as kids. We like to imagine, we like to have this kind of fantasies going around in our head, and that's how we get in touch with our intuitive side. Visualization is pretty powerful, but I will do a separate video just specifically talking about that. Sometimes when I'm really busy and I cut short my morning routine, or maybe certain days where I need that extra oomph to feel motivated, to feel empowered, I like to listen to podcasts. Sometimes when I'm like doing my makeup, doing my hair, which is going to take a few minutes, and that is the time that I like multitask. I know multitask is not always a good thing, but this is, you can say, like you're stacking habits, right? As long as it's productive, as long as it's working for you, I don't see why that is a bad thing. And sometimes when I'm curling my hair, doing my makeup, I will open up podcasts, motivational talks on YouTube. And that's when I stimulate my mind. Maybe I will listen to something that's got to do with fitness, something that's got to do with psychology, motivational speech from people like Jordan Peterson or Simon Sinek. That has also helped me to restructure my thinking, to have the right intentions, to set myself for the rest of the day. The second daily habit is, how are you taking care of your body? So this is your physical movement, this is exercise. I think physical movement is extremely important. If you follow me long enough, you would know that I'm very into fitness. But anything that is done to an extreme is going to cause you to have a lot of stress. So obviously, moderation. I know that it's such a cliche to say sometimes, but that is the truth. I don't want you guys to think that in order to have self-confidence is for you to go to the gym and lift heavy weights. If you're already doing that, good for you. If you want to aim to get there, greater for you. The thing is, you don't need to be like some kind of gym freak or bodybuilder to lift heavy weights or do something extreme in order to achieve this self-confidence. The reason why I recommend physical movement, even simple things like just a 10-minute or like 15 minutes walk, right? Okay, now, when I say walk, it doesn't mean that you're walking in a very negative mindset, like, I have to do this is so boring. So physical movement, you still need to exert some kind of effort, just a tiny bit of challenge in order for this to really stimulate your muscles. Now, if you're somebody that's into longevity, you want to age gracefully, you want to have quality of life as you grow older or wiser, depends on how you say it, exercise is extremely important. If you are the yoga person, the Pilates person, it's fine. Always try to incorporate a little bit of sweat into your routine. It's going to stimulate the right hormones. These are hormones that is going to make you feel good, that is going to make you feel not just good about yourself, but you have this energy that is going to help you to do things throughout the day. At the end of the day, if you're a person that is really taking care of your diet or you're not, I think if you neglect physical movement, you're really missing out on this area where you are biohacking yourself, knowing that you have all these hormones in your body, you have all this like dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, and you know that physical movement is going to help you to stimulate, that's going to help you, that's going to give you more of that feel good factor. Why would you not do it? Okay, let's see. What hormone does exercise induce? So just a little bit of physical activity induces endorphin. So endorphin, okay, I'm just going to read it here, leading to feelings of euphoria and reduced perception of pain. This is called, people who do a lot of cardio, they run to a certain extent that it becomes a bit addictive. They call it the runner's high. So it's because they have released a lot of endorphins that they feel super energetic surprisingly after that. And those are the times where, you know, like, for example, you want to run a certain mile and then you have a goal that you set. And then like, along the way, it's a little bit difficult, but then you push yourself. It's that whole act of, oh, I'm doing this. It's a little bit difficult, but I've overcome it. It's this whole act, right, physically, that is making you feel like, wow, I am confident, I'm empowered, I have abilities, and I have achieved something. If you are someone that gets motivated by working out with other people, you want to go into some competition, you will induce dopamine because it's a sense of reward. You have achieved something great that you've set your eyes on. Then it becomes replicated subconsciously in your other aspects of your life. You'll be like, oh, okay, I'm going through something at work, but hey, I'm a tough person. You'll be surprised that it can be translated in many things that you do that is not just exercise. And then obviously, if you are incorporating exercise to your routine, you have these feel-good hormones, you get into a healthy, fit lifestyle, you feel good about yourself, naturally, it will influence the way you act. It will make you feel like you're more open to trying out things, make you feel like you're just overall more assured of yourself. And this, I think, is something that a lot of people tend to take for granted because they think that, oh, exercise is only for people who wants to have abs and look a certain way. Actually, it's so much more than that. But of course, if it helps you to achieve certain aesthetic goals, that is obviously going to give you instant self-confidence. Okay, now the third thing is setting achievable goals. And specifically, if you say you're going to do something, you better make sure that you have actions to support it. Okay, so this is something that gets me a little bit heated because I know that I'm somebody that have come a long way where I used to be that person that would say I want to do something, right? And then I make excuses for myself, and then it becomes like, ooh, I'm the victim. I don't do it because there are like so many freaking excuses. I just cannot stand that part of myself. Therefore, I do project this on certain people that I work with that I care about because I hold their words to their actions. I do hold it against them. Because for me, I think it is really something idiotic if you say you want to do something but you don't support it with action. Then what kind of person are you? What is the excuse? Like, I understand there are certain things that happen in life that would deter you from doing that thing that you said that you're going to do. But then I'm referring to people specifically that sometimes when you interact with them, they would paint this picture to you saying that, oh, you know what? Yeah, this is what I'm going to do. I can assure you, I promise you. They use those kind of words that really constructed some kind of expectations on yourself. But there are certain settings or certain environment in our lives where expectations are needed in order for things to be done. And so when you say something, it's very important that you actually be accountable of doing it. Now, if even though you doing it is not the ideal way that you would do it, because understanding that sometimes, again, The world is very unpredictable. So even if you say, I'm going to give 100% or I'm going to give 80%, and then you end up giving 50%, right? It's the effort that still shows that you have actions to match your words. It is when your actions is zero, there's nothing to support your words. Also experienced this where I've said something to someone, I've promised someone something. So that's why nowadays I'm really careful about what I promise about, because I really want to make sure that at least I can deliver it like 80%, or at least I know that I'm really going to be in control and be accountable. Now the thing is, there will be times where you promise something and you say something, you set a goal, but then something happens or you just forget about it. This is the part that you don't suddenly come up with excuses of, oh, it's somebody else, you start pointing fingers, except for yourself. Except looking at yourself saying that, you know what, it was me, I forgot about it, I shit on it, and so I'm going to be responsible. So this is what I'm going to do the next time. So going back to setting achievable goals is because some people, they want to, because they are stuck in a rut, so they like automatically want to be like, okay, you know what, from today onwards, I'm going to do this. And then they set a goal that is so high, because this kind of compensate them and make them feel like they are not so inefficient or incompetent or inadequate. So they set this like high goal to make them feel good, but then they set themselves up for failure, because when they set something so high, they don't even have a baseline or where they're going to fall back, and they don't even know how to get there or if it's even achievable or sustainable. Having a goal is important, especially when you know where you're at. You tend to be someone that it's harder for you to achieve certain things. Maybe you're going through some things. Then maybe break down the goals into very small steps. At least those mini goals that you hit is going to eventually slowly build your confidence. So action triumphs words. Okay, now let's talk about number 4, right? This is not new. This is something that a lot of people also take for granted. This is your personal grooming, your image, and your attire. This is your personal branding. This is how you show yourself externally. When it comes to fashion, it can be quite tricky, because there will be one group of people who wants to have sense of belonging, where they need to dress like everybody else in order to blend in, you know. There are also those people who are like rebellious, they are individualistic, they just want to stand out from the crowd. So how does personal grooming, your attire, personal branding, is going to help you with self-confidence? Let's say you know your personality type very well, okay? You know that you are a feeling type, you are based on harmony, you care a lot about relationship, you are also somebody that is very creative, you are very open, you know. If this is you, right, these are the traits or these are the inner parts of you that people don't get to see. Only when you start introducing yourself and you present yourself, they see that. How are you reflecting this through your outfits, through your external, through your physical self? When you do that, you send off a message where you are very congruent, where you are very authentic with yourself, that you know who you are and you wear it on the outside. So I've met stylists who have these goals of, yes, I want to be an image consultant, I want to be a personal stylist, I want to show people that I can style anything, and I'm the stylist that can be related to anyone. I want to be versatile, I want to be this, that. So these are goals, right? These are things that you want to portray. But then when you look at their personal branding, their outfit, they are so stuck to that same outfit that they wear over and over again. And then you start to think to yourself like, okay, if you say you're creative, open and adaptable, but you're always wearing the same thing. Consume fashion in that manner, but it's more of, if you say that you're versatile, if you say that you're creative, are you wearing colors that show that you are open? Because actually what you wear, it can influence you subconsciously. It's going to dictate the way you speak to people, the way you act as well. So sometimes we think this is who we are, but then we don't realize that we are not reflecting this through our wardrobe. So I think I'm going to use myself as an example. I know that most people's perception of me is that quite intimidating, that I have a pretty strong, bold personality, and it depends on the situation, obviously, but the first impression that people get from me is that I'm quite hard to approach because I have this cold RB persona. And so if I were to wear very assertive outfits, which I do love, who don't like to enhance and showcase their ego, right? Because you solidify who you are. Because I have this physical traits, I have this kind of makeup, the way I do my eyebrows, and it's just my overall vibe. It intimidates people. When I meet new clients, when I meet people who I have an objective in mind, that I need them to open up to me, that I need to appear more warm, friendly, relatable, I would not wear my ego self. And then in corporate environment, when it comes to workplace, there are certain expectations that people have of you, especially those of you who, that you look young, and then maybe you sound a little bit more soft, and maybe you speak in a very I think that's what we learned from Vanessa Van Edwards about you have this tone when you speak that make people doubt your competence. Like you have a flexion, I think now I remembered, you have a flexion in your sentences, I just did it just now. So if you have that kind of demeanor where you are more agreeable, where you are more sociable, very easily approached, and people think you're warm, friendly, outgoing, you tend to usually lose out on the competence part. People would think that you are just very good socially, but actually you don't have substance, or you cannot make hard decisions, you cannot be objective about certain things. It's always like that, pros and cons, right? And so finding that balance and knowing how to create the image to show a strategic look based on your objective is going to be very helpful for your self-confidence. Knowing your current assessment, knowing what image you're currently sending out, and then ask yourself, okay, when you wear certain outfit, does it make you feel confident, and why? Right? Is it the colors? Is it people validate you in a sense where when you wear this particular color or this particular style, you get more compliments, or you've gotten compliments before, your social skills is not there, and you always feel like, I don't feel the most comfortable approaching people. Most of the time, your outfit plays a very huge role. So I'm going to give a general guide to how you're going to anchor your personal grooming to instantly achieve self-confidence through fashion. Is that, okay, for the ladies, if you already know that you are on a softer side, that you appear more feminine, more agreeable, and maybe you struggle to be very assertive, and maybe it's harder for you to be opinionated, to say what you want, or to appear like people should respect you or think that you are competent. Perhaps you are wearing clothes that are too soft, you are wearing colors that are maybe a little bit too feminine, and it's lacking the kind of structure or the kind of polished, sleek, I would say slightly more formal, that has masculine inspired cutting to it. Sometimes just switching that up a little bit, like for example, putting on a blazer where you have stronger shoulders, it will instantly add competence to your look. And then for the guys, obviously, apart from blazer, which I think looks good on all men, no matter what body shape you are, but I think even if you're a trapezoid where you already have like a built upper body, where you further emphasize it, sure, it just looks super like alpha, but it's not wrong. But I think for men, it's usually like a white shirt, like a sharp collar, where it's well tailored, when it's fitted well, especially for men, when they wear the right fit, when they don't overdo things and they don't over accessorize, and they look very polished, they smell good, and they have good grooming, their haircut is clean and sharp. Normally that will already give like that sense of self-confidence or assurance. And I think some giveaway is really the hygiene factor, the grooming. Are they the kind that will go all the way to have that finishing touch, to have the signature scent, then you know that this guy is actually very assured of himself and he takes care of your image. And sometimes there are little things that will give away, like apart from the fit, is if they're wearing a belt and their belt is not of good quality, or like their shoes are a little bit worn out, this is when you know that they're neglecting their image a little bit. For some reason, a burgundy, like this dark red, we call it the russet color, it's just my personal perspective, of course. You see, all guys would have that sky blue shirt, which is extremely boring. It depends on how you style it and who you are. But because it's so common, it doesn't make anyone remember you, right? But then when you see a guy in a well-tailored shirt, but then he has a certain detail to it, he has cuffling, which a lot of guys don't wear nowadays. Or he's wearing a white shirt or like a black shirt, like something very typical, but then when you go closer, right, you see there's some texture on it. Those kind of things shows that, you know what, I dare to stand out a little bit from the regular people. I have confidence in that sense. And then this burgundy color is something that I think is rather attractive on men, where it makes them look very confident, because red is essentially quite a feminine color, but then because it's of a darker tone, it has that groundedness to it that, you know, it's almost like, it's like a bloody color, but it somehow looks hot on guys, and that kind of makes them appear more confident. Last but not least, learning something new is going to obviously boost your self-confidence. Now, it doesn't have to be like a complex topic. Sometimes just going on YouTube, this goes back to the tip number 1, of course, like listening to certain podcasts, giving you like new perspective. Even signing up for a course on Udemy or LinkedIn is, when you learn something new, you obviously feel more confident because you've skilled yourself. You know better than before. You are definitely more efficient than before. So I don't see how that is not going to help with your confidence. There are some people who I look up to, they go all the way to commit on a monthly basis trying to learn something new. They just keep picking up skill, but they treat it as like leisure, like fun. But at the end of the day, they become like this jack of all trades. Like they know so many different things, and then they also enhance their social skills because they have this ability to do small talk in a very substantial way, because they can talk about things that they have learned, that they have done. Collaborating with a friend or someone at work that has very different views from you, and you go in with an open mind, because it's going to help you to open your horizon, that is going to give you perspective. This is obviously going to boost your self-confidence because you have more abilities, more knowledge, more capabilities if you take actions. I hope you find this useful. Let me know below if you are practicing any of this, or if there's something that I didn't mention that I can learn from. I'll be happy to see that in the comment section. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.